Well, so there we have it. Tyrone have beaten Kerry 3-14 to 23 or 22 points. Tyrone are into the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship semi-final. They have dethroned the team that everyone had as the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship favourites. I mean, they were the team everyone was talking about. Kerry were the team everyone was talking about going into this game. But Tyrone have only gone and done what Mayo done last week, and is take out a big team in a big game and book an All-Ireland final, and unbelievable stuff from Tyrone. From a Kerry point of view, we'll discuss them in a moment. I see a comment coming in there from Adam, and we'll certainly discuss that Kerry matter in a moment. But first of all, let's give credit to Tyrone, because what an unbelievable performance in terms of work rate, in terms of just not dying, not giving up, but just a brilliant defensive performance, and then just really good at breaking, at pace. And Conor McKenna, two very, very well taken goals. Colin McShane, when he came off the bench, got that goal as well. But Dereck Canavan in particular, unbelievable stuff. Kieran McGeary, what an unbelievable performance. Man of the match for me. Like, Kerry just really struggled at getting forward. Sean O'Shea hit 8 points. But generally speaking, Darragh Moynihan as well, like he couldn't really get into the game. And I felt that Kieran McGeary really kind of stemmed the influence of Kerry. Like, they couldn't get their big players into the game. Sean O'Shea and David Clifford were the two only real Kerry forwards that were really contributing in this game. Like Paul Gainey, very quiet, once or twice overhopped the ball, lost possession in poor areas. Stephen O'Brien, we just haven't seen the same form from him going back since the 2019 final against Dublin, where I thought it was unbelievable in the drawn game and even in the replay as well. Didn't have that same form, doesn't seem to have that same pace, was knocked off the ball far too easily. Paul Gainey, I already mentioned him, so I can't mention him again. Paddy Clifford, I meant to say. 1 point, and obviously it's not about the scoring really with Paddy Clifford. He still contributed a little bit, a couple of passes here or there, a couple of moments here or there, and still done what he needed to do. I thought Paddy Clifford was okay, but just not at the same level as previous games. And Tyrone's defence just snuffed him out. Peter Hart, Frank Burns as well. Padraig Hampsey was unbelievable. And obviously that first Tyrone goal came directly from Padraig Hampsey turning the ball over after some sloppy play from David Clifford. He overhopped the ball, got turned over. Tyrone went down the other end. And, it was a really, really well taken goal by Conor McKenna. Really, really well dispatched. And it was brilliant from Tyrone from there. Like, Conor McKenna gets that goal. They slowed the game down when they needed to. They done what they had to do. And I thought it was brilliant from Tyrone. A few comments coming in there. Ben McElwain says, unfair for Kerry. Tyrone pulled out when Dublin lost to Mayo. You come back in, so now they have a hard chance of winning. I 100% disagree with that, to be perfectly honest, Ben, because Kerry have had a 5-week layoff and they haven't played any games in that time period. Tyrone had, their players had COVID, in my opinion. And we have to take their value. I know some people are saying, oh, well, maybe they made it up to get an extra week, or they done this to get an extra week. Personally, I think you have to take them for face value. Like, apparently 16 of their players had it. And I don't disagree with Pat Spillane either at halftime. Thought it was a ridiculous comment where he was talking about, maybe it makes teams better or something ridiculous, just really, I think for Kerry fans, they need to accept that they just weren't good enough today. And there was no, whatever 5-week layoff or this or that. Like, both teams had the same layoff. Both teams had the same amount of time to prepare for this game. All right, Kerry had a couple of extra weeks because of the fact that the Munster final was played a week before the Ulster final. But I just don't think it can be an excuse, in my opinion. And as Adam says there, our defence was crap. Yeah, Kerry's defence was just really, really poor. They were being caught out of position on far too many occasions. Like, the marking just wasn't tight enough, and they just weren't tracking runs enough. And you seen, even for that Dereck Canavan moment as well, when he broke through, it was a forward pass from Matty Donnelly. Dereck Canavan just completely free inside the square. And I couldn't believe it when Shane Ryan saved it, because it was literally straight at him. I was thinking, what an opportunity. But luckily enough, it fell to Colin McShane, who was there to just hand pass it into the back of the net. And yeah, Kerry, once again, it's the same old problems for Kerry that's been there really since, the past 2 or 3 years. It's been the same issues for Kerry. It's been their defence. We've seen it against the Dubs in the league. We obviously seen it a little bit against Cork in the opening 15 minutes. Just far too many players getting way too far forward, and even at that, they just couldn't hold the line well enough. They just weren't they just weren't getting close enough to the likes of Conor McKenna or Colin McShane when he came on, Darren McCurry at different stages as well. And even when Tyrone went down to 14 men at two separate stages in the second half, Kerry just couldn't seem to capitalize on that at all. And Tyrone did play with fire a couple of times. There were a couple of stages where Kerry had goal chances and they managed to get away with it, like that opportunity in the first half where Paul Gainey skips around the goalkeeper. I actually think it was the right decision to pass, in my opinion, because if you actually go back and have a look, I think he's fallen over on the ball anyway. So I think it was the right decision to pass. But I think Stephen O'Brien probably needed to either pass the ball on again, back again, or work some other way to get a goal or put it over the bar. So, but still, maybe Paul Gainey could have put that in the back of the net, and that was a big opportunity missed from a Kerry point of view. And Padraig Hampsey, Ronan McNamee, just tremendous stuff from Tyrone, and Colin McShane as well coming off the bench. Just really, really added that extra bit of bite from a Kerry or from a Tyrone point of view. And yeah, I mean, what a huge result for Tyrone. A first ever All-Ireland final now between Tyrone and Mayo. I mean, who would have predicted Tyrone and Mayo in an All-Ireland final? I don't think anyone did. I think everyone was building up towards this Dublin and Kerry showdown, and little did we know, neither of them are in the All-Ireland final. Incredible stuff, really. Except that we're not good enough. Kerry can't beat teams from the north. I mean, they do seem to struggle with teams from the north. I mean, they beat Tyrone 2 years ago in a 2019 All-Ireland semi-final. But I know they didn't beat Monaghan in a Super 8s game 2018. Donegal beat them obviously back in 2012, I think, as well. So I mean, yeah, look, listen, fair play to Tyrone. They kept fighting, they kept battling. They picked and chose their moments. I mean, it was a very, very close game. Like, certainly even an extra time, like Tyrone, even after getting that third goal from Conor McKenna, which, again, just such reckless defending as well. Like a long ball in, not dealt with at all by Gavin Crowley, I think it was. Falls to Conor McKenna, just far too much space, slices it into the back of the net. And for Kerry, like, just the same old problems again. And I think it's probably very hard that Peter Keane survives this, in my opinion, now, because beaten by Cork last year, when they themselves went far too defensive, that didn't work. They were probably far too attacking this year, and that still didn't work. So, I mean, I think for Kerry as well, like, just looking at the physical shape of the players and the physique of the players, they just, I don't know what it is, but they just didn't seem to have that same physical edge. Like, I feel like Tyrone were able to drag Kerry down to their own level. They were able to, hit them with shoulders. They were able to foul them at different stages. Like, obviously Darren McCurry with that black card. They were dragging, Kerry down to their own level, and Kerry just didn't have an answer to it. We spoke all the time about Kerry's brilliant bench and the players that might come off the bench. And I thought Killian Spillane actually had an impressive enough second half. He didn't score, but I thought he was involved in the game. He got on the ball when he needed to and done what he had to do, but didn't score. Didn't actually have many opportunities to score, in fairness. But other than that, like Jeremy O'Connor, who came off the bench, had 2 points. But you're looking at some of the other players, nothing from Tommy Walsh, nothing from Adrian Spillane as well. So, I mean, Kerry's bench just wasn't there. And quite incredibly, like, I feel like Kerry have fluffed their lines a little bit, in my opinion. I think they, David Clifford going off for extra time was obviously a huge blow, but I do think they fluffed their lines a little bit. There was opportunities there, even in the second half as well. Like, there was chances to go for a point, and their decision making wasn't there. And I think it was actually, in the end, a sign of a bit of an inexperienced team. And there is a lot of inexperienced players in that Kerry side that, don't have All-Ireland medals. And I think you could see that today, in my opinion. Oral Ali says, good to see a new final like Dublin and Kerry have won so much. Yeah, I mean, it's got, Mayo and Tyrone in a first ever All-Ireland final. I was actually surprised when the commentary team in RT said that. I wasn't aware that this was the first time these two have ever played in an All-Ireland final. But then when I kind of thought back, I thought, you know what, that probably makes sense, because it's normally either Dublin or Kerry in an All-Ireland final. I think this will actually be the first time since 2012 that neither Dublin or Kerry will be in an All-Ireland final. That was Mayo and Donegal that day. Daniel O'Mahony or Devin O'Mahony, I should say, sorry. Kerry were poor. Yeah, they definitely were. No doubt about it. And Sir Klopp says Tyrone got away with one in the first half. Shawnee O'Shea should have passed it into the net. Yeah, they just the decision making just wasn't quite there from a Kerry point of view, especially with the goal chances as well. They just seemed to stutter a little bit in front of goal. Maybe, opportunities were there where they could have kicked for points and they just didn't do so. And yeah, in the end, like without David Clifford on the pitch in extra time, Kerry really struggled and they just didn't have that same efforts that we would have thought they would have had. Viable solutions as well done to Tyrone. The best team won today. Yeah, absolutely. Tyrone were the better team in my opinion. At least Kerry did fight back though in extra time. I think Tyrone were 4 or 5 points in front, and Tyrone brought it back, or Kerry brought it back to a 1-point game. So Kerry did show fight going down the home stretch there, which was, I know they didn't get that time for an extra point. They didn't get another opportunity to score again. They lost the ball a couple of stages after that, gave away that 45. Obviously, Noel Morgan put that wide, but like at least they did show a bit of fight there. But obviously, if you're a Kerry fan, you must be thinking at this stage, like, is the season a failure? I mean, from a Dublin point of view, we lost in an All-Ireland semi-final, and I think it was a failure. So I think for Kerry fans, surely they're probably thinking the same thing as well. Guy, got to say, the McShane goal, he was in the box. Ref should have been consistent. The better team won, so no complaints from me. I didn't see that, to be honest. He looked outside the square, in my opinion. But maybe I'll go back and have a look, and maybe I'll think different. But from what I've seen, anyway, he looked outside the square. Galo says that I think I would have preferred Kerry winning because Mayo would be favourites and they will be expected to win, while in reality it's going to be a huge battle. Yeah, that's an interesting one, actually. Like, who goes in as favourites? Do Mayo really go in as favourites? I mean, they beat Dublin, so fair enough, they probably do. But like, Tyrone have beaten Cavan, they've beaten Donegal, they've beaten Monaghan, and now they've beaten Kerry. I don't know. I think personally that maybe Tyrone are going in as favourites, but only slightly. Because if you do go back and watch the Dublin Mayo game, like, Mayo were really poor for 63 minutes. It was really only for the final 7 minutes and extra time that they really turned it on. And because Dublin were poor, Dublin were just really, really poor. Dublin were worse. So I think Tyrone are probably going in as favourites, in my opinion, but we'll have to wait and see. Devin O'Mahony says it's a hard one to take as a Kerry fan. What do you think of Pat Spillane and Sean Kavanagh at the start? I literally only I was on a flight back from holiday, so I literally, as I touched down about 3:15, I got the game up on my phone. So I don't know what they said at the start, but I did see them arguing at half time and going mad at each other and going a little bit crazy and whatnot. And Pat Spillane just getting a little bit heated and carried away, and he looked a little bit salty at different times as well, especially at the end of the game, where he was saying, this is no surprise and this isn't a shock. Like, I just felt like he was trying to discredit what Tyrone have done. Like, I mean, it is a shock. Like, let's be honest, everyone had Kerry winning this game. And with the fact that Tyrone did have this COVID situation, like, it affected them worse than Kerry. So, Kerry were massive favourites, in my opinion. Crazy J says, I'm a Mayo fan, cautiously optimistic. I mean, Mayo will go into this with a degree of confidence. I mean, the only thing with Mayo is, there was always that story there of like, well, Donegal ended their drought for winning an All-Ireland back in 2012, and Meath ended their a bit of a drought that they had when they won an All-Ireland, and Kerry obviously beat, a lot of teams have beaten Mayo in All-Ireland finals. Tyrone haven't. Which could be a benefit to them, but it could be another narrative in the story that I'm sure Mayo fans won't want. But I think Mayo are going in with a huge opportunity. It's going to be a really intriguing game because Mayo and Tyrone haven't even played each other that much in the past 10 years or so. There's no real rivalry there. I think they've played each other once or twice. And Mayo have actually generally beaten Tyrone. They've generally gotten the better of them. Even, you think back to, I think, 2004 when they were massive underdogs. Viable Solution says he was well inside the box. Yeah, I'll need to go and have a look. But from what I've seen, he definitely looked outside the square. But I'll go back and have a look and be sure to change my mind if you're correct. But yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap this up here anyway. What a huge, huge win for Tyrone. Massive congratulations to them. It's crazy. Tyrone, whoever wins the All-Ireland is going to be ending a bit of a drought. Tyrone are going to win their first All-Ireland since 2008, or Mayo are going to win their first All-Ireland since how long has it been now? Is it 1960? 1961 or 1951, something like that. Anyway, I know it's been 70 years. My maths isn't that great, unfortunately. But yeah, look, listen, fair play to Tyrone. Huge win for them. Massive congratulations. And man of the match for me, Kieran McGeary. I thought he was brilliant. I think Tyrone's defence done a tremendous job. I mean, they did give away a lot of frees in the first half and in the second half as well. But yeah, huge opportunity now for Tyrone, no doubt about it. But anyways, we'll go ahead and wrap this up here. Do leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all